Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is Srila Gurudev in Italy. Do you remember that place called Monte Barro? With Krishna, Kanta, Didi, and Munindra arranged some on a mountain high up. He stayed there for some days. It's where there was a chapel, Catholic chapel, that had been there for 500 years. So it means it was there in the time of Mahaprabhu. Gurudev went in for a little darshan. There's like a Murti of Mary with baby Jesus. Gurudev like took his shoes off, and then when he saw, he went, "Mother Maria ki jai." So there, he was talking about the sound of Krishna's flute, and he said that because we hear the sound of Krishna's flute regulating all the servitors. This is part of Guru Maharaj's Gayatri explanation. Gayatri Murlista Kirtana Danam Radha Padam Dhimahi. So he said, one sound is telling the Braja Gopis one thing, the cowherd boys another thing, the cow's one thing, his mother another. All the different rasas, they're getting their cue and their guidance from this one sound. So Gurudev at that time he was saying, well, how is that? It can be understood from many different points of view. So he said, and I don't know if you know this or not, maybe you have to be older to know it, but some factories, they used to have a whistle at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Like all the work, everybody's doing something, and then this whistle would go, toot, and then and then they know, oh, like some people start going this, it just tells everybody what to do. So Gurudev said, it's like that. Krishna blows his flute, not that it sounds like the sound I just made. No, it's not like that. But he said when he makes this sound, that everyone hears the sound, then they know, oh, we have to go. Yashoda knows she needs to get everything ready they have to be bathed, Krishna and Balaram have to be bathed, and then offered the bhog, and Radharani and Braja Gopis know what they have to do, the cows, and everyone knows what they have to do. Regulated by the sound of Krishna's flute. That's one thing. But when they're going on with their lives, their so-called lives, what's mentioned sometimes is they hear the sound of Krishna's flute in the evening time, and they're doing many different things. It's told they're nursing babies, they're cooking things in the oven, they're cooking things on the stove, they're putting on makeup, they're doing many different things at that time. But how wonderful is the sound of Krishna's flute, we can't imagine. Right? Like Achintya Guna Swarupam, Achintya Guna, inconceivable qualities. I think, how beautiful can it be? Guru Maharaj said that there was a rumor once that 100 years ago or so that people in Vrindavan heard Krishna playing his flute on the bank of the Jamuna, and they all ran there madly. But Rupa Goswami tells us something. His plays are reality. Even here they say, if you want to tell the truth, write fiction. But this is way infinitely beyond that. So many wonderful things are expressed there. and they're real and true. They're not imaginary or exaggeration, neti hasana kalpana. So in one famous sloka, talks about the effects of the sound of Krishna's flute. Rundanambu britas chamatkati param kurvan muhustumburum dhyanam antarayan sanandana mukham vishmapitam vedasam otsukya balivir balim atulayam bogindram agurnayam bindam anda kataha vitam abhito bad brahma bangshi dwani. Srila Gurudev loved this sloka very much. Ambubrata, the thundering clouds are stunned. Like we're told in different places, the inanimate become animate, the animate become inanimate. The waves of the Jamuna freeze. Right? Tejo vari madam yata vinimayo. The rocks melt. Right? So the inanimate become animate, and the inverse. Rundan ambubritas chamatkati param kurvam muhus tumburum. Told that Tumburu is supposed to be the leader of the Gandharvas, the best singers in the universe, saying, "This is astonishing. I've never heard music like this." Right? In other words, the supreme musician, this is beyond what music we can make. We try to make heavenly music. This is infinitely beyond that. I'm astonished. Dhyanad antarayan, sanandana mukham. We're told the 4 Kumaras, right? Nothing can disturb their meditation. Where do they stay? Maharjana Tapasat, somewhere way up there. Actually beyond, that's their play as well. Tasyaravinda nayanasya padaravinda, kinjalka misra tulasi makaranda bayu. When they're outside Vaikuntha, and they look like little boys, Kumars, little brahmachari boys. They're very beautiful and effulgent. The Lord came to greet them and it said, Tulasi, tasyaravinda nayanasya padaravinda. The tulsi, that aroma, completely captured their consciousness. So nothing mundane can disturb them. Nothing can affect their meditation everywhere. But here we're told, when they hear the sound of Krishna's flute, they can't concentrate. They're the ultimate meditators. Now they can't concentrate. Their minds, the minds of the 4 Kumaras are spinning. And Brahma is astonished. Brahma is thinking, he has like inventory, big, spreadsheet of everything he's created. And this is not on the list. Saying, I would remember this if I'd made this. This is not something I did. Right? Otsukya bali. And if you look at what Rupa Goswami is doing so beautifully in his poetry, it's the sound of Krishna's flute, but it's penetrating the coverings of the universe. It's going like it's going around all the different, from Brahma Loka to where the Gandharvas are, the Kumaras, and now it's down at the bottom of the universe. Bali Maharaj, astonishing him. And then what does it say? Down further below, where Anantadev, with his head sitting, all the planets, they're said to be resting on his divine serpentine heads. Bogindrama Gurnayam. And Anantadev, the heads start going like that. like dizzy. It's making him dizzy. He's going to faint. Anantadev is going to faint. All the universe, the planets, they're going to fall off. This is the sound of Krishna's flute. The effects. Like, so what the sound is, that we cannot, it is achintya guna, inconceivable. But so what he's trying to do, by telling us the effects, we can get some idea. Bindam andagata, and it's saying it's piercing through the universe has like shells, 8 layers. They're cracking. It's penetrating them and then having all these effects upon those who can hear it. But Brahma Bangshi Dwani, when Krishna. But as Srila Gurudev said very beautifully, he said, but about what is Krishna fluting? He said, he is fluting about Radharani. That is his ultimate fluting matter. Radha Dasyam. But in response, so when Krishna's playing that, those gopis doing all those different things, sometimes it's said how Krishna, we told, is a thief in different ways and stealing. So the sound, by entering through their ears and into their hearts, has stolen their shyness, all of their qualities, it's stolen. Chakrabarti Thakur points out, Krishna wasn't interested in stealing their paraphernalia. They still have their earrings and their and different things. But he's stolen all the wonderful things that are in their hearts, he's stolen from them. And now they're thinking, they're going to chase that thief and return those things. But in doing, they're so besides themselves, senseless, that they forget what is an arm and an ear. What is the difference between an ear and an arm or a leg or everything? They're very confused. So they're putting some of the ornaments in the wrong place because they forgot those things. That's how seductive is the charm of Krishna. They've forgotten basic things that people know, like right from left, up from down, the difference between your ear and your knee, and many things. They're half-dressed, so they're leaving, and they're breastfeeding babies, cooking, dressing, doing all these different activities, and then suddenly leaving. These pastimes are inconceivable. But Chakravarti Thakur points out that in some instances, Yoga Maya creates duplicates. So some duplicate gopi is there with the husband, the family and everyone, and the gopis in their real forms, they go to Krishna. That's one group. There are different ones, it's inconceivable. But what was the question? The point of the question. About those who could not go? What was it?
You can tell about that one also, but the question was more general, like what is this call like?
Oh, the call. Right. So we could say the call of the Absolute. We're hearing about these things that are beyond our ability to express, and talking about them can be an aparad. but everyone's hearing some call. Anyone who's connected with the Krishna consciousness movement, on some level, is hearing, let's call it the call of the Absolute. It may become very specific in time, as we just discussed, but that it is the call of Krishna that's heard in the hearts of all the devotees. And, it's present in the form. Krishna consciousness movement. Hearing that call, you have to move. It's a movement. Movement is required. Like you have to move your lips. We're told, like chanting, was it? Osh Spandena. There's different places told you should like. So you have to, and move, dancing movement. When once I was thinking, if I could publish the golden volcano of divine love in Srila Guru Maharaj's lifetime, then I could die. And I got the opportunity to bring it to him at the Mat, and he was so happy. Later told me that was his favorite book of the ones that we'd published. And he's always looking for divine signs. Right? Those whose eyes are awakened can find traces of divinity in everywhere and everything, the Mahabhagavatam. And interestingly, there's the Vedic science of signs, auspicious signs, inauspicious signs, especially if you're going on a journey. But Guru Maharaj has mentioned Srimati Radharani, like everything has its parallel and representation in the original. She's the origin of all this. She's looking for favorable signs, indications of meeting with Krishna, indicators. So, Srila Guru Maharaj, seeing this book, and Siddhanti Maharaj, who was Chidananda Prabhu at the time, was in Puri, and he sent a letter telling him that the seva of the Gambhir, the room that Mahaprabhu spent his last 12, 18 years, that seva was becoming available. Sometimes that happens. So Srila Guru Maharaj sent myself as another devotee to see if we could procure that. And when we got there, I had the, freshly printed Golden Volcano of Divine Love. Actually, I stopped in Hong Kong to bind some, to make some advanced copies. Chinese connection. And so I had some. So I explained to the pujari who this book is, what this book is, who this book is. Because we used to take it. Gurudev said 3 Vigraha. He told Goswami Maharaj is giving you later 5. But search for Sri Krishna, we took to be Krishna. Sri Guru and His Grace, Sri Guru, ultimate Guru, Srimati Radharani. Golden Volcano, Mahaprabhu. So I explaining to him, this book is Mahaprabhu. And he accepted that. I just explained, Guru Maharaj, everything, somehow he got it. And so he took the book, and where Mahaprabhu's asan is, put the Golden Volcano there. And so we were very fortunate to say, look, Mahaprabhu is sitting there in the form of the Golden Volcano of Divine Love. And those things are complicated to arrange, and so we returned with the news to Guru Maharaj. And we have to remember, at this time, he would only leave his veranda, balcony, like 2-3 times a year, come down to the temple room. Saraswati Thakur's appearance, Gaur Purnima, and like his Vyas Puja. And Guru Maharaj told me, he said, if you can get this seva, he said, I will come there. Right? And he saw the like shock on my face. Because I knew that it's not possible for him to survive that kind of a journey. And so looking at me, and Guru Maharaj said, he said, and if I die on the way, he said, at least I will have died going in the right direction. That was so beautiful. I will have died going in the right direction. That we aspire to. And more practically, aspire to serve the servant of someone who can express that in a heartfelt, meaningful, substantial way. The call may come to help in the kitchen. Right? All the domestic affairs of the mat, Radharani is major domo. We want the Hollywood version. It may be very simple. Don't pass up any simple service opportunity that comes before you. We observe this sitting at the lotus feet of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. The moment he understands that something is the service of the lotus feet of Srila Guru Maharaj, he's eager for that. Whatever it is. He's ready to do that personally. Srila Saraswati Thakur used to tell his disciples, actually, I'm supposed to do all of this. But I'm unfit, unable, it's beyond my capacity. So my Gurudev has mercifully expanded as all of you to help me do this seva. And Guru Maharaj says, Srimati Radharani, she is always promoting others for seva. But sometimes she realizes only she can do a particular seva. Otherwise, she's happily promoting others. Look, in that pastime we discussed, some devotees are playing the part of the opposition. They're answering that call. Like we've seen our Guru Varga, they like to spar sometimes. Prabhupada with his life comes from life, and Srup Damodar arguing science, life comes from matter, and scientist, Srup Damodar Maharaj. Guru Maharaj arguing with some devotees like Vaishnavism and Mayavad. Gurudev, he would sometimes pose a question that many devotees think they know the answer to, and they'd start answering, and he'd say, I know what we normally say. Prabhu, I know that. But if we think of it more deeply, what will come to us? Gurudev told of one man who was the typesetter. Remember, real typesetters a long time ago picked up letters out of a box, lead, and put them, forget what the thing was called, the markup. You put them in the, anyway, that man was setting type for Gaudiya Math publications, but he could pull the different letters, and Gurudev observed him doing all of this, and he said, Srila Saraswati Thakur's will was playing very nicely in his heart, using him in this way to do all these. He saw it as the play of Saraswati Thakur moving the man's arm, that he'd surrendered himself to being used in that way. Offering himself, Atma Samarpanam, Diksha Kale Bhakta Kore, Atma Samarpan, self-giving, self-offering. The gopis are offering themselves. They don't have mundane forms, actually. That's why Yogamaya had to make some, so they can actually go. They don't have, there's not any mundanity in them. So they're offering themselves wholesale to Krishna. So we're told they decorate themselves for Krishna's pleasure. At the call, Sarvadharmam Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja Ahang Tang Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishami Ma Suchaha. Braja Sharanam, to surrender as they do. And not to worry that by doing that, I'll be, what's the word, irresponsible, or not fulfilling some obligation I have, or any such thing. Krishna is saying, Ma Suchaha, don't worry, I take care of that. You surrender to me, I take care of those things. That Krishna always wants everyone to understand the glory, beauty, and supremacy of the devotees. So once, sometimes he gets sick. That's part of his pastimes. Once Krishna is like senseless, and he then appears as a physician, and Yashoda's worried, thinking Krishna is like dying, and Krishna comes as this mystic physician, examines him. I can cure him. How? Really? How? Require, simple actually, some water from the Jamuna. Then we'll get it immediately. Well, one moment. Must be brought by a chaste girl. No problem. But some Jamuna water brought by a chaste girl, but the pot must be a porous pot, full of holes. Then I can cure him. So we're told Yashoda goes to the mother-in-law and sister-in-law, Radharani's, because we're told they're a little, they gossip about what's going on in Vrindavan and question that others are chaste. They have some like that. So Yashoda, she goes to them appealing, because so they must have the best reputation. That's the inference. So she approaches them, and when she explains the requirement that the pot will be full of holes and it'll only be done by a chaste girl, they're thinking, oh no, this is impossible. But Gaura said, Yashoda, in her madness, the intensity of her madness, convinces, who is it? Jatila and Kuti, that they must do this. And the Radharani's mother-in-law goes first, she tries, all the water comes out, people are like, oh. Then the other one, same thing, and they're like, oh. And Yashoda saying, is there not a chaste girl in Vrindavan? In the whole of Vrindavan, we don't have a chaste girl? This is Krishna. Right? And Krishna lying, and the physician there, who's also Krishna. Yeah. Then you go to Radharani. And everything, they've heard rumors about Radharani, Krishna, this, that. And they go to Radharani, and she's thinking, also, this is impossible, and only if Krishna will help me can I possibly do this. And her Sakis, all of her Shifra, they gather with her, and they all go down to Jamuna, and Radharani's got the porous pot, and everyone's hoping, and she pulls the water, and it's perfect. Not a drop. And they bring it back, and Krishna lying, and they're administering, and Krishna's coming back to life and getting his senses, coming back to Krishna consciousness. That he wanted everyone to know, she's the real chaste person, not this show. And chaste to what? To whom? To him and his divine will, whatever he wants. She's prepared to sacrifice her reputation, herself, her life, her everything on the altar of self-giving to Krishna. Aradita, Aradhana, Srimati Radharani. And what does she say? I have this reputation in the world that I have so much devotion to Krishna, but my bad fortune is actually I could not give myself to him fully. That's how she thinks. How should anyone else think? Or how should those who are aspiring servitors of her servants think if the supreme leader personification of Krishna consciousness is saying, I couldn't give myself. Bhaktivinoda Thakur lamenting when he left the world, I couldn't serve you, my Lord. Guru Dam Grantadam Gauradam Namadam Uda Bhakti Dam Buddhidam Bande Bhakti Vinodadam Sadam, who gave us everything. I couldn't serve you, my Lord. That's the mood of the devotees. They're trying to answer the call of the Absolute by offering themselves in his service. Hare Krishna.